Welcome everyone to the Kubernetes 120 release team meeting for week number 2. Today is, of course, September 21st. This meeting is a Kubernetes release, a meeting that falls under the Kubernetes SIG release umbrella. So this meeting will be covered by the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which can be boiled down to be excellent to one another. This meeting will also be recorded, obviously, and will be available on YouTube. So let's go ahead and kick things off, and we'll start, as we often do, with enhancements, and Kirsten could give us an update about where we are so far.
Hi, so this is Kirsten. I'm the enhancements lead. I said that we were green right now. I pinged all of the enhancements maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and the response rate has been pretty good. We have, I think at this point, 26 enhancements that are tracked, and I feel pretty good about the momentum on most of those. The rest we're still waiting, but I think that this is like a pretty good sustainable rate of enhancements. I just realized that my filters don't work correctly to tell you if they're alpha, beta, or stable. So I'll have to update that a little bit later and check the filters on the document. But I think like week 2, we're actually doing really well. And 3 of my 4 shadows have confirmed, and I think that they're here. And I think we're gonna try to schedule a meeting this week. I'll send out a doodle to all of them just to pick a good time, because I'm hoping that this release, like, we do a little bit less just pinging the world and focus a little bit more on the people who are actually working on their enhancements and making sure that they meet all of the enhancements criteria. So getting the jump start a couple weeks ago, I think, was good for that as well. And not like pinging unresponsive enhancements like 20 times. So I'll also be sending out just an email to probably KDev or TBD email list about the enhancements freeze as well. And yeah, I'm not sure if the shadows should introduce themselves or if we're just going to go to the next group or not, Jeremy.
Yeah, let's go ahead and we can have people introduce themselves. So just as a general note, we have mostly finalized shadow selection. I think we'll be sending out an email today to everybody that wasn't selected, just for reference. But we'll be onboarding everybody starting today. So if you're in this meeting, go ahead and introduce yourself. And then we can,
I see that Jeremy's here, so he can go first.
Hi everyone, my name is Jeremy Morris. I'm a software engineer for DigitalOcean, and I've been selected as a shadow for the enhancements team. So this will be my first time doing it. I'm based out of Princeton, New Jersey.
welcome.
Cool. I also saw Kinara is here, so I'll let her introduce herself.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Kinara. I work as a software engineer at Rancher Labs. I'm from Cupertino, and this is also my first time working in any of the SIGs, so I'm pretty excited.
And I think Kendall's here, so I'll let her introduce herself as well.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Kendall Roden, and I'm also going to be on the enhancements team as a shadow. Last release, I was actually on the communications team, so super excited to have a little bit of an idea of what's going on, and hopefully I'll be able to contribute a bit more this time around. So happy to see everyone again.
Welcome back.
Thanks, everyone. And I'll just be sending out a doodle for a meeting this week so that we can go over some stuff. So I'll give it back to Jeremy.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to CI Signal and Rob.
You can probably hear me better now. We good? Okay, so
staticky.
A little bit staticky, yeah. I'll turn up the gain and see how we go. Okay, so basically we're kind of in flight with doing reporting. Hassam put together the manual report today, and I've been working on automating the report. I am not quite ready for demo, but essentially where I have that automation is that it's outputting what's nearly org mode style output, and I think by next week we'll be picking formats and recording point in time snapshots of the state of CI Signal. So at the moment, I think I started to update. I think I was updating the template, and we've 7 flaky jobs on master blocking. I'll put those in the right place, and we're in the middle of dropping in the master informing report. So we don't have a full report this week, but this should be better next week.
Great. If any of your shadows are on the call, do you want to have them introduce themselves?
Yeah, who have we got on the call? Joyce.
Hi. Yeah, my name is Joyce. This is my first time acting as a shadow for the CI signal. And I'm currently in my last year of computer science at the University of Waterloo.
I'm trying to see, and we have Sam as well, who actually put together what hopefully will be the final manually put together report from CI Signal. Sam, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep. Hello, everyone. I'm Hussam. I'm working as a cloud specialist with Microsoft, focusing on cloud native. This is my second time as a shadow on the Kubernetes community. Last release 119, I was on a CI Signal shadows. Continue to be on the CI Signal shadow for 120. Glad to be working with you all again and looking forward to an amazing release this time.
Yeah, thanks so much for stepping up and doing that report manually, Sam. That was fantastic. I really appreciated that today. So I'll be happy to demo the automatic report this week, and I'll be pushing that up. I have to give a shout out to Elena Varkakova, who worked on this report this time last year. So we've resurrected her work on that, and basically what I did today was updated Google Golang GitHub API module, and I'm kind of hitting up against learning about rate limits and thinking about making my own proxy, but I might talk to people and test infra about that. And yeah, hopefully we'll have that automated for next week.
Great. Thank you for that super detailed update, and thank you for that report, and thank you for all the shadows introducing themselves. Any questions for CI Signal before we move on? Okay, next I'll hand it over to Vlad for bug triage.
Hey, so we are green. We don't have much to do right now. We usually step in a little bit later in the cycle. We've had all the shadows selected, so I'll let them introduce themselves in a moment. Overall, we are seeing a steady increase in number of issues across all categories. So we are just tracking the numbers to have that baseline and get some stats, and that's pretty much it. I'll let Derek introduce themselves.
So hi, I'm Derek. I do site reliability engineering at VMware. I work alongside Jeremy actually. This is my first time on the release team here for Kubernetes, and I'm a bug triage shadow. So excited to be here and hoping to learn a lot about the process and be able to contribute back a lot.
Hey, thank you. Max.
Hi everyone, I'm Max. I'm basically a cloud native engineer, or have a small team to manage also. Working in a small consulting company currently called Storm Reply. It's actually my fourth round on the release team, and I was in the previous release comms lead, and now joined back as a shadow for the bug triage.
Thank you, Max. Mena?
Hello everyone, I'm Mena Masri, a software engineer based in Egypt in Rancher Labs. This is my first time acting as a shadow on Kubernetes community bug triage team. Glad to be working with you all.
Thank you for being with us. Sayan.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Sayan. I work for Kinfolk as a Linux engineer. And this is my second time I'm doing the shadow. Last time I was a CI Signal shadow, and I'm glad to be here working with the team again.
Thank you. We have one more shadow who couldn't make it today due to doctor's appointment, but over to you, Jeremy.
Thank you. Any questions for bug triage? Cool. We're pretty early in the process, so thank you for that detailed update. And we'll move on to docs with Anna.
Hey everyone, I'm Anna. I'm the docs lead for this release. I think we're green. I don't have any updates for this week. I do, however, want to get with Kristen to make sure that I get access to all the tracking sheets and all my shadows as well. So I'll be doing that this week. And actually all my shadows are on this call. So I really want to introduce them to everyone here. So I'm gonna start off with Samtochi. I believe that's how you pronounce it, but please correct me.
Yeah, that's okay. Hello everyone, my name is Somtochi, and this is my first time on the release docs team. This is my first time as a shadow on the release team, and I just finished interning my GSOC Google Summer of Code internship with Kubernetes. So yeah, I'm pretty much excited to be here. It's nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ray?
Hello, my name is Ray. This is my third release team. I was on 118 and on 119 for release notes. So this is my first time on docs. Super excited to be on the docs team and yeah, looking forward to it.
Thanks, Ray. Welcome back. And we have Leslie.
Yes, hello everyone. So my name is Leslie. This is my first time in the process of Kubernetes release and especially doc release team. So I'm very glad to participate to that effort, and I'm kind of stressed too. So currently I'm working on cloud architecturing for autonomous vehicle, and I'm freelance. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. And last, we have Kristen.
Hello, this is my third SIG release tour of duty, I guess. I worked before with Anna and Jeremy on enhancements for 117, and prior to that, release notes with Sasha. So I'm really excited about 120 and working with you all again. And I am a software engineer at Zillow Group. Thanks.
Welcome back, Kristen. That's it for docs.
Cool, thank you. We'll make sure that everybody gets access to the tracking sheet this week. And just in general, we'll do the onboarding for all the shadows as we go through the week. Next, we'll have James with release notes.
Hello, everyone. My name is James. I am the release notes lead for 120. I've been on the release team for a couple of releases now, both times as a release note shadow in 118 and then again in 119. Outside of this, I work as a solutions engineer for JetStack, which is a UK-based kind of professional services company focused on Kubernetes and cloud native. So I do this all day, every day. In terms of how we are doing, I consider this as green. We don't generate release notes for the Alpha 0 release. So we're just waiting on 120 Alpha 1 tomorrow to start generating those. We do have a new process this time around that I believe is currently in flight. I need to catch up with Adolfo to double check exactly whether we're using the new process or the old process yet, and kind of help make sure we get some documentation merged for that. Beyond that, we have confirmed all 4 shadows for release notes, and at least a few of them are on this call, so I'll ask them to introduce themselves. I can only apologize if I get names wrong. First of all, we have Wilson, who I don't think he's actually managed to make this call. I think he had a conflict. Yeah, but Wilson from release notes last time as well. I'm sure he can introduce himself in the next meeting. Then we have Celeste, who I believe is here.
Hi, yeah, I am indeed here. I'm Celeste. I actually work with the CNCF directly as a technical writer on Kubernetes and other CNCF projects. This is my first release team, shadowing for release notes, but also very likely also going to help out docs. So where you can usually find me is in SIG docs.
Thank you very much. Jackie, I believe I see you on the call as well. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Jackie. I'm a software engineer for Caseware based out of Toronto, Canada. It's my first shadow experience with this release. I'm very excited to work with every one of you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And finally, we have Sonia, who I'm again uncertain is on the call. No, I don't believe she is. I do see Wilson's joined, so maybe Wilson, if you'd like to introduce yourself now you're here.
Hello, yeah, my name is Wilson. I was a shadow for 119, and I'm back for shadowing 120 again.
Cool. Then yeah, unless Sonia is on the call, which I believe she is, then that's it for release notes.
Awesome, thank you, and welcome everybody on the release notes team. Next, we'll have the last of our little sub-teams, and that's comms. So Joseph, take it away.
Everybody, I'm Joseph Sandoval, and I'm glad to be back on the release team. I was part of the 119 team with comms, and now here I am in 120 as the comms lead, so really grateful. Saw Max is back, so thanks Max for all your help. So appreciate all the feedback you left behind, as well as like the work that you did. I work currently with Adobe. I'm managing SRE teams that are building Kubernetes platforms, cloud native toolings, and all that fun, and being able to enjoy this journey. So as far as like our shadows, we're all covered there, and we have a team that is split. So we got half the team that's going to be in IST, and then part of the team is in EST, which is pretty much exactly like what my work situation is. So here I am on the West Coast, and probably means I'm going to be working around the clock as I normally do. So this works perfectly. So what I'll do is I noticed a few of them are on the call, and I'll let them introduce themselves, starting with, I think, Divya. I think I saw her there.
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be back in the release 1.20. I was a part of the docs team on 1.19. Excited to learn new things about the release from different areas. So yes, okay.
All right. And I think I see Chris Short is here.
Hello, everyone. Chris Short. I work over at Red Hat. This is my first official release team responsibilities, even though I've run retros and such in the past for folks. Very happy to be here. Very happy to shadow and just see how this whole process works. Also, one of the key roles that I want to play is working with the Kate's upstream marketing team to kind of help glue some of those pieces together to make some more automated marketing and communications type functions happen in the background.
Awesome. And then I think Tony Goslin is also here as well.
Hi, my name is Tony Goslin. I also work with Adobe. I actually work under Joe over at the Advertising Cloud BU. And yeah, this is my first release, first SIG to be involved in, and I'm excited to be here.
And I think that's it. We have one other, but I don't believe he is here. So I'll hand it back.
Cool, thank you so much. Any questions for comms before we move on? All right, next, super exciting, Marco will be telling us about the branch management updates. And first we'll say congratulations to Marco on his promotion to a release manager.
Hey folks, so as Jeremy said, I have been promoted to a release manager. And for this release cycle, I will be taking over the role that Carlos did for the past release cycles. So I will be taking care of updates, and I will be the liaison between the release engineering team and the release team. So if you have any questions or any stuff, feel free to ping me, and I will make sure that it gets handled and so on. And from our side from now is that we are green. There's not a lot of updates. It has been mentioned. There is the 1.20.0 Alpha 1 release planned for tomorrow. Daniel is responsible for this one, and he will be cutting it. So if you have any questions about or anything, feel free to ping him or on release manager channel or something like that. So I think that's it from our side from now.
Awesome, thank you and welcome to the release team. We're happy to have you joining us for this cycle. Any questions for the branch managers? All right, next we'll move on to Laki, and he'll provide us with his emeritus lead update.
Thanks, Jeremy. Hello and welcome everybody. If this is your first release team meeting, welcome. If you're coming back to join us, welcome back. The 120 release is going to be awesome. Last release of 2020, so let's make it a good one and a fun one. In the last week, so I'm actually the emeritus advisor, so I've been on 5 release teams. This is my 5th. I'm actually here to help you all make it through this process. So if you need anything, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to Jeremy. We're all here to support you. If you have any questions, where to look. No questions are too hard for us, you know, bring it all to us. And if you need any help, we're here to support you. In the last week, I've been working with the leads to select all the shadows. So I helped with the shadow application process and help guide the leads through that process. So kudos leads. I know it's extremely challenging. We had one of the largest amount of applicants I've seen in any release, at least for all releases I've been on, with over 100 applicants. So it's very hard to go through and process, but welcome to everybody on the team. And I want to just thank the leads for making it through that process. So we've almost completed all the selections. I think I'm waiting on enhancements just to make sure that everybody's confirmed, but I did hear 3 people are here today. We will lock them into the rosters, and then I'm going to send out a doodle to find a time that works for most people. We'll record it to do a shadow orientation. So I'm going to take an hour and guide you through all the tools that we have and all the processes that we have to help you onboard as a shadow. So if you're here with a lot of questions and worried about what do I need to do and what's expected of me, we hope to answer all those things. But we ask, you know, that you talk to your leads. The leads are there to mentor you and to help you through this process. But we're all here to support you. So excited to work with you all. And you will see a doodle once we've finalized all the shadows and we've locked them all into the roster. I will send it out directly to all the shadows. So help us find a time in the next 2 weeks to actually make that happen. I think that's about it from me right now. I'll be around in Slack if you need anything as you onboard and get familiar with the process. So thanks for having me, and I'll pass it back to Jeremy. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you so much, Lucky. Any questions for Lucky before we move on? Okay, so next is the part of the meeting where we normally would get the release lead update from me or whoever from my team is leading. Right now, I'll just pause and let my shadows that are online reintroduce themselves, just so everybody is familiar. I think Dan had to drop off, but I think Savitha and Nabarun are online. So Savitha, if you want to go first.
Sounds good to me. Hello, everyone. This is Savita, and this is my 3rd release team. It's an honor to be a part of this release team. I work as a platform engineer at MathWorks, and you can say I live and breathe Kubernetes, and I want to make it more and more better. And one of the reasons that I'm here is the community is so welcoming, and I want to keep that culture going and be more inclusive and be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Nabarun.
Everyone, happy good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is in your time zone. So I'm Nabarun. This is my 4th time in the release team. I have been here since 1.17. I have been in the enhancements team as a shadow for 2 cycles, and then I led the enhancements team last cycle. And it's great to be back to the team, shadowing Jeremy. And it's awesome to be in the team, and it's really great to see such a diverse team this time around. Thanks, everyone. I hope you all will have a great release 1.20. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll have Dan introduce himself next week. For those who don't know me, my name is Jeremy. I am a software engineer at VMware. I work with Derek, coincidentally. I have been on the release team, I'm trying to count how many times, a few times, let's just say that. I shadowed bug triage, I think in 1.13, and then I came back to shadow enhancements in 1.17, and then I led enhancements in 1.18, and I shadowed the release team lead, Taylor, last cycle. And so this cycle, I'm picking up the release lead helm, helping out everybody to be successful for this release. Just a couple of updates. We're pretty early in the cycle still. Enhancement freeze will be the next major milestone that Kirsten mentioned. At that point, you know, we tried to get a lockdown on all the things that will be included in the cycle. There's a lot of work that goes around that for the enhancements team. Then they'll start working towards code freeze. We also neglected to add a test freeze date to this calendar. So I have an open PR that I'll link after the meeting just so people can review. It will be towards the end of the release, obviously. I think it's the 30th. It'll coincide with the docs deadline. And just that's a fairly new phase that has been added to the release cycle. You know, like we want to make sure that tests are pretty healthy. So generally that would coincide around the time of code freeze. It's a little bit later, but that'll get merged in after I make some updates to the phases document as well. And then again, we're shooting for a release on December 8th. Obviously that's a little aspirational. Things can come up, but that's the date we're shooting for right now. Release team side, we will be trying something a little different this cycle. So generally we've had one set of release meetings, and those have been mostly US time zone centric, which is not great for people that are not in the US, especially people in India. It's quite late right now. So we will be sending a doodle after this meeting is over at some point that will have some proposed times for a meeting that's a little more centric around Asia Pacific time. I don't think we have anybody east of India on the release team this cycle. So we'll add some times in that'll shift and maybe give a little bit of overlap with the European time zones as well. So people in Europe can pick which meeting works better. And then we'll try to do some asynchronous handoffs and see how that works. And obviously we'll make some course corrections through the cycle as we go. Feel free to offer any input you have on that. If you find anything's not working, speak up to your release lead, your project lead, or speak up to Lockie, come to me. We're happy to take any and all input along with that. And please feel free to speak up. This is an environment where everybody should feel like they have a voice, and we want to make sure that you all feel comfortable presenting, talking to us, anything like that. And yes, that is a Topo Chico lime behind me. It's my favorite.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Any questions about the calendar? Any questions about the meeting times or schedule? Cool. Thank you, everyone, for that. Generally, we next have an update from SIG Scalability. They don't generally attend this meeting. I don't think anybody from SIG Scalability is online right now, but they'll generally add the update into this agenda so we can keep track of that. And if we notice any problems, we'll of course circle back with them. Next up is Lori, and she will give a program management update. And Lori, can you introduce yourself for all of the folks that haven't met you before?
Oh, sure. So I'm Lori Apple. I'm in Berlin, Germany, and I'm the program manager for SIG Release and the release team and release engineering, basically all of the sub-projects in addition to the main SIG. And so I'm here to help drive alignment, collaboration, communication, prioritization. So things like road mapping, our processes, yeah, I kind of, as road mapping, try to help everyone organize work into themes so that we deliver the highest value work and get our goals met. So I've made some progress with the help of many of you since last week's meeting. So last week we discussed using our project board. So we have a GitHub project board that has a lot of items of varying sizes and ages. And we wanted to use the project board to store longer term issues of relevance to the release team in a column just to keep them on our radar screen, but use the project board for small items that will have a quicker turnaround for our 120 cycle efforts. So as a part of that, I was going through the issues last week, created a could close question mark column. So there's been some activity there. Those are basically things that have been hanging around a while, and can we close them or not? What do we want to do? And then I've been putting in Slack, using the thread emoticon, some threads to get some discussion on specific items. And so I would like to continue that through this week. If you haven't seen those yet, please take a look, because you might have valuable feedback for those items that we need to hear from you on to gain the right context. I will post more threads in the Slack channel after we've closed out a couple of the other ones. So I think we closed out 1 or 2. So probably tomorrow I would like to post 2 more. So please be on the lookout. They'll be in the SIG release channel And then I've closed out 116 and 117 retro GitHub issues. So these were the to-dos from past retros. We've done a lot of those items from the past, so that's good news. But basically, I want to carry over those old items into the present and see what is remaining, what is still relevant, what do we need to reframe. So I'm not sure what format to present the list to you all in. If you have any suggestions, it'd be great. Like, do you want to have a brand new GitHub issue, and then we would just check off whatever is actually been done? But the issue is some of these might need some discussion. So I think maybe we have a Slack thread about those items. I'll figure that out. But would be some sort of combination of GitHub issues and Slack be best for everybody? Is there any other recommendations for how you would like to review these old retro items and provide your feedback?
I think that GitHub and Slack would be the best way to start, and then we can maybe review them on the board starting next week.
Okay. So that will be the plan. And then we can also go over them. There's a 120 lead sync just for the leads, and we can go over that, like what do these retro items mean for the long-term picture.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And then the leads can help identify shadows on the team that can help us push some of those things to completion.
Oh, that's a really good plan. How does that sound to everybody? Anybody and everybody?
Good.
Sounds good
All
to
right.
me.
Okay. So I'll put that as a note for the find items for leads to pass on to shadows. All right. So the next item I had was last week I mentioned the feature health check that SIGNode has done to review their KEPs and the status of their KEPs and just decide what they wanted to prioritize in 120 or what they wanted to close. And Kristen and Jeremy had the question that let's ask SIGs about the KEPs that others file on their behalf. So like random KEPs that just kind of come in and might challenge the roadmaps. So just want to say I'm now doing that. So there'll be some data on that coming in the next few weeks. And then for the enhancements team, this is my final update. Basically trying to present, I'm having trouble with my browser today. There we go. Basically wanting to have two goals for the enhancements processes and mechanisms around this. One would be I need to meet with Stephen and talk through the receipts process. If you don't know what that means, it's okay. There will be details to come, but many of you have already heard of this receipts process concept. So it's basically to help us try to automate more of the interactions with SIGs and create a healthy boundary of accountability between what the release team needs to take on and what the SIGs need to do to get their enhancements in on time. So we need to just kind of figure out what that will look like, or write it down. I think Stephen knows what it'll look like, but just write it down and share it with everyone and get that more transparent. And then a KEPS website using existing metadata that we're already collecting. So this would actually be really attractive for open source program managers like Paris Pittman, other program managers, maybe your companies. But basically, like how could we query on the website what KEPs are in progress and the status of those and other details that people often want to know. So that's what's to come, but hopefully that will make our lives a bit easier if we have those in hand and moving forward. But nothing will change in 120. This would all be for gearing up for 121.
Thank you, Lori. Any questions for Lori before we move on? Cool. Actually, one question for you, Lori. Do you want to walk the project board this week, or should we start that next week after we do a little more?
Yeah, we could do that. If you're willing to pull it up.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can do that. Super. I made you co-host too, so you can do it.
Oh, you did? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Savitha and Navarun are also co-hosts.
Nice.
So we'll get to that in one second. Just another brief mention here. Generally at this point in the meeting, we get to the point where we can bring up open items. So as we go through the process, if anything comes up that you need to bring up or discuss, feel free to add it into the open discussion topic here. We've also linked the retro document. So at the end of every release cycle, we do a retrospective to see what worked well, what didn't work well, what could we do better. And generally, I've found that as we go through the cycle, when those things come up, put them in the document so that we don't forget them. And we have a good set of what went well and what didn't go well, just so we can discuss those things at the retro. I think anybody that's been on the release team before, or Chris can attest that the retros have lots of good discussion topics, but those are really driven by what we bring and add to the retro document. So please, as we go through the cycle, let's go ahead and add things as they come up so we don't forget them, and just make sure that we have a good set of things to discuss at the end of the release. Okay, I'll bring up the project board now and we can walk through it. So let me share. Is that
Can you zoom in?
Yeah,
zoom
it's
in, zoom
getting
in.
ready to do with my my tiny or my giant monitor, I guess.
Yeah, so I guess just
Yeah, that'll probably be okay for most people.
Okay.
so we have the closed column. We should always start at the right because those are nearest the finish line. So if we start with could close. So Steven said he's going to follow up on this note. Does anyone else here have context on what this is?
The gift. Yeah. So one of the things the release manager, or sorry, the release lead does as part of the cycle is to pick a release theme, and then generally there's a release gift. They'll have something with that theme. So if you were on the 118 team, Jorge produced some really awesome shirts with the logo. You can actually go back and find them across different releases. Lockie had a really, really excellent one with his unlimited breadsticks for all theme for 116. So I think that's related to that.
Okay. So do we actually have to do anything here?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that should be assigned to Gwen, maybe Stephen to follow up on that.
Okay, I'll check in with Stephen again. See if there's a to-do. And then the next item, create a shadowing retrospective. We had a little bit of discussion about this in our release leads meeting.
Yeah, I don't think we should action this yet. I think the consensus was that we should try to not do a separate shadow retrospective. We should make sure that we have an environment where everybody feels free to speak up. And if you don't feel free to speak up, talk to Lockie, talk to me, talk to Stephen or Tim or Lori.
Yeah, any of us leads.
Yeah, so I think we can keep this open for now, but maybe revisit it when we get towards the end of the...
I mean, I agree. I would actually suggest we close it. There was one additional thing that we changed in 118, which was we did a survey rather than having a separate retrospective for shadows. We can keep that this release and see how effective it is. But we just want to make sure that the shadows feel supported and have appropriate feedback channels. But we also are conscious that we don't want to throw more meetings on everybody's calendars for more retros. And so I think we could probably manage it. I will type up some comments and I will suggest that we close it.
Okay.
And then we can reopen if somebody feels that we need to, but it sounds like the general consensus is that it's not valuable to have another meeting at this point.
Yeah, and the other point about that, in addition to having another meeting, is that we don't want to have striated leads and like a retro with everyone, and then a retro with just the shadows.
The shadows, yeah.
Not feeling comfortable talking in the bigger group. So two points on this is that we will start having monthly lead syncs, and this is where we can talk about communication and helping the shadows stay integrated, working with the shadows to help them feel comfortable in speaking up in any of the meetings. And then also basically just having retrospective like check-ins, you know, when we think about it, when we're in this meeting, for example, I think the messaging of just, hey, if you have an issue, please come and talk to us. We want to help you feel really positively about this experience.
Cool. So action item there, Lockie will comment on it and propose that we close.
I'll put the things that
Awesome, thank you.
Laurie said, and I'll propose we close it.
Cool.
And then the next one is the 118 shadow application feedback, and it looks like it's assigned to Laki, since he was the EA for 118.
Yeah, so there's two items on this. I actually went back to the last two EAs and made sure the survey actually hasn't changed. There was one suggestion that I think Robert made, which was to add preferred pronouns to the shadow application. So I'm going to update the template that we passed between and add that as a comment too. So thanks for that feedback, Robert. We'll get that added to the 119 shadow application form, and I think we can close that too.
Cool. I think that was from James, so we'll give James the.
James, I'm sorry, sorry, Robert, and to mix it around. Thanks, James.
It's fine. It doesn't matter who suggested it, so it's okay.
I gave it a thumbs up. That's what. Oh, sorry. I gave it a thumbs up. Yeah. On Slack, that's why you voted it.
Okay, so we have about 20 minutes left.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll finish this up a little bit early and get give people back some time. Should we review the blocked waiting stuff next, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
How about doing that? So we have this enable cherry pick plugin in Kubernetes org. If you want to open that and just see what that is.
I'm sorry, I have too much on my screen.
That's all right. Yeah, so this plugin, I don't know if this is something we want to pursue as a team. I mean, that's up for discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I think this feels more like something that would fall outside of the release team and more on release engineering.
Yeah. Okay. I can make a note and then move it out of this board.
Okay. Yeah. Let's follow up with the release engineering Slack and or SIG release, and we can figure out where to drop this one.
Yeah, we can make one node in SIG release and push it to the release engineering.
Yeah.
All right. Is it something that this team should be aware of is happening though? Is it going to affect 120 activities like in a very close tactical way?
I think no. This will mostly be impactful to the release, to the branch management and the release managers, since they're the ones that do most of this. I think it'll become if we enable this now, it'll be more widely impactful for everyone when we lift the 120 milestone. That's actually going to be discussed, I think, at SIG release tomorrow. So we can, I'll go add that to the agenda. And then when we get to code freeze, like generally then we start requiring cherry picks. So this may or may not be having any impact in 120 if it happens during the 120 timeframe.
Okay. All right. Then updating CI signal issue format to be more conducive to triage.
Rob, do you want to take this one?
I haven't looked at this issue, although I will say that let me just see here now. If this is to do with the template for when we log flakes, let's have a little quick read of it. Updates. There's some things that I would like to do on this, so yeah, let's keep that open and maybe assign it to me.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll review it. I don't fully I've not seen this before, but just from that quick scan of the title, I think that it could do it a bit of fine tuning.
Okay, I'll ask you in SIG release, and we can start a thread to discuss it there.
Cool.
So that Dan can also chime in.
Yeah.
That's great. And then quick note on CI signal subproject. Steven says he will comment on this imminently to get this moving, like next couple of days.
All right, so the in review section. Which handbook is this? Let's see. Fix the role handbook URL to point to the right directory. Looks like this is open, so we should have let's just see which one it is. for the pull request. So this is the release team shadow selection. Okay, so I will take this to review. Looks like Dan might have added some comments already, so I'll do that as well. Okay, next, after that, patch update release schedule for 119, 118, and 117. Opened by Carlos. Marco, do you have any comments you want to add on this one?
Can you just open it quickly that I take a look?
Yep.
Yeah, so it was supposed to add the entries for the recently released versions and for the next ones that are targeted in October for the patch releases. Not sure how much that has to do with the release team, but
I don't think this one's release team related. This is just more.
This is more about the patch releases for existing release.
Okay, so maybe we can move this one to a more release engineering or release manager centric board. F32. Okay, next is 1246, and that's an issue that I just opened. It's got some changes requested that I need to resolve today, but essentially that's going to add a test freeze deadline to the schedule. Right now we don't have one, and it was pointed out in SIG release that we needed to have one. So this this PR is aimed at doing that. So hopefully I'll have that resolved today, and then we can get Tim to re-review it. He was the one that requested some changes. And then lastly, our in progress section, assemble the Kubernetes 120 release team. This is in progress, and we will hopefully resolve that this week. Once we have all of the shadows identified and onboarded, we'll be able to close this one. And then lastly, Rob, do you want to discuss your Automate CI Signal weekly status updates?
Yeah, sure. So there's prior art here. I mentioned this at the top of the meeting. So Elena Kokovova did some work on this. I've updated that to kind of get a handle on how that works, and I think from next week on, I'll have the ability to generate that report. The thing that we would and this might be better discussed in release engineering. The thing that I'd like to be able to do is to have a place to record the snapshots that we take of the state of the signal in relation to flakes and the issues open, so that we can track metrics over time. So right now when we manually create the report, we go to test grid, we go to the tab grouping, we click on sort by status, and we manually review the contents of that summary. And what the code that Elena has created basically goes to the project board and goes through the issues on the project board, but also goes to test grid and gets the summary counts of what's flaking and what's not flaking. So so we have the opportunity to store, okay, on Monday afternoon we had 9 flaking jobs, and then Tuesday we had 5 flaking jobs or more, or what it is, so that we can track those metrics over time. That's something that we're interested in getting to. What I would like to do on this is basically architect something whereby this has a proper home in a Kubernetes repo. But not only that I just want to basically leverage off our existing CI infrastructure in order to basically, I presume, I'm kind of thinking maybe using Prometheus or Grafana to dashboard out and show trends over time. So we're at the stage where I can now run this report. I'm going to do some work on it to maybe produce JSON or whatever. And what I want to do is stick a timestamp on it and find a home for that on the disk somewhere, and then start using that as a data source for trend analysis.
Awesome. I think that'll be really, really useful, especially as we get towards the later half of the release and we really, really care about the state of.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that that I need to do is to update that issue with that brain dump and just start some conversations about, well, how can I make this official? Currently, Elena's work is in a private repo. I forked from her work, and we just need to find a home for this.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
We'll have some more discussions about this later on.
For sure, yeah.
That's great. I just have a question. I wonder if there's anything in the backlog that anyone here would be willing to try out. There's some CI signal related needs. There's some docs needs.
Sorry, can you drop a link in the chat to the project board?
Yeah, sure. It's also in the agenda for everybody, just so you know it's there. But sure, I can totally work
Just
with you
did
on
that.
it.
Cool.
Yeah, so
Thank
it's
you.
the farthest left column.
Yep.
I see some things.
So I think we're getting close to the end of this meeting. Do we want to just have everybody review the backlog offline? We can come to the next review of this in the next week's meeting. And
Yeah, I mean, I think if you, sorry.
No.
I just think if you take an item, just like if you post it in the Slack channel, just so that we know, give us a nice heads up in addition to the assigning yourself.
Yeah, and if you have questions about any of them, feel free to start threads in SIG release, and we can iterate from there. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks to everybody for joining us for the first time. Thanks to everybody else that's here. It's not your first time, for sticking with us. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or anybody on my team, so Savitha or Dan or Navarun on Slack, and we'll be happy to answer any questions or concerns you may have. Yeah, I guess that's it for today. We'll see everybody next week, and see everybody on the internets.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.